welcome to another episode of our playthrough of Requiem of the Golden Witch. Hello Cat, how are you doing? It is very warm. It is very warm today. Technically the heat wave is, well, it's not much of one, but in my house, the temperature went up today instead of down. Hilarious. So I'm suffering a little bit, especially because someone was playing loud music right underneath my window, so the window is now closed. So if I seem a little, like, absent-minded or confused, it's the heat is getting to me. I'll be fine, though. I have some nice chilled water, and no tea this time. Not like last week, which was, you know, it was not a good idea to drink tea when I was more, but yeah, should be fine today. I'm glad you're doing good. Alright, I'm just gonna start up the game as always. And and then drink some water. The water's gonna be extra noisy today because of all the ice in it. Yeah, yeah. We're gonna skip this as usual. That was a door slamming in the hallway. See, this would be like a pro stream, but my environment... Nobody wants me to have this. I'm kidding, You were melting like a plastic bin under a giant magnifying glass. Yeah, understandable, I heard it got crazy warm in the UK. Which I think is where you are, roughly. I don't actually know that for sure anymore. Either way. All of Europe was just, we were all dying yesterday. But at least we were dying together, I guess? We're gonna skip that. I forgot to press this button. See, it's already starting. I was really confused about episode 8 not being unlocked. Because why is episode 8 not unlocked? It's because we're still finishing up 7. We're not there yet. Anyway. Is it this one? This is the one, yes. It's nearly 40 degrees. Damn. It didn't get that warm here, but it is almost 30 in my apartment right now, so yay! I'm sorry, I'm suffering. I've had worse, I shouldn't be complaining. Because we got off pretty lightly here. Because today it was just pretty alright. Outside at least, indoors not so much. But yeah. I'm just grumpy because my apartment is like an oven. For some reason. Except when I want it to be like in the winter. Oh my god. Well, I hope it's cooling down quickly over there. Alright, let's actually get this show on the road because I would like to finish this game today. I don't know if we can. But there's still quite a bit to go. For now, let's start with our content warning. Content warning for character deaths, detailed descriptions of gore and body horror, child abuse, discussion and mentions of incest, discussion and mentions of suicide, characters struggling with gender dysphoria, and misogyny. So if any of these topics are things that you're uncomfortable with, or stuff that you deal with yourself, look after yourself first and foremost. That's the most important thing. And step away if you need to. And yes, this is the longest tea party of the entire series, I believe. So, and we got through part of it last time, but we're in for quite a ride. Alright, so, last time, Leon and Anja were kidnapped by Burncastle. who somehow resurrected, Claire. Because, well, Will, ended Claire's life as she wanted. And, as part of Beatrice's funeral, really. And Burncastle is now making Leon and Anja watch another game, I guess. Much like, you know, episode 1, 2, 3, 4. Except in this game, the adults solve the Epitaph. They solve it. They find the gold. At which point, Beatrice the Third, I guess, appears, tells them, "Yo, what's up, guys? I was planning on killing you all, but now I won't. Oh, by the way, there is a bomb on this island, and to set it off, you just need to flick the switch on this clock right here." The clock goes off at midnight if the switch is flipped. They actually tested that out to make sure that I guess to make sure that she wasn't lying, which is very fucking tense. But yeah, that's it so far. The adults have the gold. Beatrice has given up her right to the gold and has basically said, "I had this whole plan to murder all of you, and I'm good now. Congrats." That's it. And also, there's a bomb. Which leads us to the next part. Alright. Just gonna need some more water. The things I do for Umineko. Thank you, Kat, I appreciate that. I actually planned it. I didn't write anything down, but I planned beforehand what I was going to say this week. You know, like a pro. Anyway. It was rehearsed, just in my head. Hell yeah. Alright, let's get the show on the road. I already said that today. Anyway. Gold is the only physical embodiment of magic that can appear in the human world. Since ancient times, even a small fragment of it could control men with its magic. In that case, how much magic power would dwell in it? If it was piled up in a mountain so high you'd have to look up to see the top. Don't be stupid. We'll split it evenly. Isn't that the obvious solution? Didn't we say that half of this pile would belong to me and the other half would be split between the four of us? The yells of the people dancing around the gold reverberated throughout the underground room. In front of the pile of gold, they were arguing about how it should be split. Could you have solved the riddle all by yourself, Nisa? You couldn't have, could you? The four of us siblings have solved it together. Of course we'll split it in 4 equal parts. Coward. Aren't you the ones who first made that proposal about the gold distribution? How can you disregard that so easily? You really think you're in a position to bargain? When you're the ones hiding Dad's death?
That's right. That's right. You've been swindling us this whole time, treating Father's wealth as if it were your own.
All you need to do is split the gold evenly, and we'll drop all the rest. It sounds very fair to me. Well, if you're going to say that, let's just try splitting it 4 ways. Feel free to split this pile in 4 and carry your own shares home. I hope you have pockets that can hold 2.5 tons of ingots. It seems you've all been driven mad by the gold and lost all ability to make rational judgments.
What do you mean by that, Kraus-Nissan?
Look at this ingot. As you can see, there are no official markings, just Father's crest. How do you intend to turn unmarked gold into cash? Well, have you finally figured it out? This pile of gold may well be worth 20 billion yen. However, that's only if you can exchange it for cash. Are any of you capable of liquidating this many unmarked, unknown ingots at the proper exchange rate without word of it getting out? They could carry it out easily, given enough time, but I feel like the boat might sink. Just a hunch. If it was a necklace or a ring, exchanging it for cash would have been a manageable problem. However, to do that with several tons of unmarked gold that couldn't be made public would be impossible for any normal person. However, Kraus could do it. Among the several business associates who had been close to the family since Kinzo's generation, there were some who had black market ties and sufficient financial clout. The billion yen tied to the cash card that the Golden Witch had handed out was also money that had been liquidated via one of Kinzo's connections. Well, that explains. However, none of the other siblings had any connections like that. They would have to rely on Kraus to exchange the gold for cash. Not on Kuwabata, sadly. A few trips might do it, yes, but unmarked, unknown gold is still gonna be fishy as hell. Now you're finally seeing it. I apologize for hiding all of those things about Father. However, your position is not so strong that you can use them as leverage against me.
You really think that little thing gives you the advantage?
What do you intend to do with that gun? Please, put that vicious thing away.
Ava was gripping the gun so hard it looked like it might snap.
Hey Lulu, thank you for dropping by, and I hope you sleep well. And I hope you have a good day tomorrow. The 4 guns that the witch had placed in this room were now in the hands of the relatives. Just as the gold had led their hearts astray, it seemed these guns had the magical power to turn their hearts to violence. Finally, a scuffle arose between Ava and Kraus. Off to the side, Natsuhi started arguing with Rudolph and his wife, at the grand underground VIP room filled with a cacophony of angry outbursts. Anja's face was starting to contort with pain after being forced to watch the scene for so long. It was only natural, after being shown this abusive argument between her parents and her other relatives. What on earth? It was painful for Leon, too. Leon would have tried to intervene and calm them if that had been possible. The gold wouldn't go anywhere. If they just took their time and thought about it calmly, they would be able to resolve this. Ava and the others had argued that they needed a lot of money before the end of the year, which was understandable. However, the billion yen cash card would be more than enough to pay for that. With their emergency expenses taken care of, they could liquidate the gold at their leisure, then just split it amongst themselves. Sure, maybe Kraus was the only one capable of converting the gold. That might give him an advantage over the other siblings. However, this gold couldn't be dealt with by open means. In addition to attracting public attention, it would also lead to various legal problems. It was better for the secret money to remain secret. If they wanted to get the largest portions possible, then they should all agree not to tell anyone about this gold. In other words, to maximize their profits, they needed a gentleman's agreement that all of them would keep the secret. Kraus did have a slight advantage. However, it was possible for the other relatives to refuse to cooperate and tell the world about the gold. And then, there was also the concealment of Kinzo's death to consider. Kraus was an investor. He needed not only financial clout, but also a certain degree of public confidence. His advantage wasn't big enough for him to act so overbearing. The mountain of gold has made everyone lose their ability to think rationally. This isn't an argument between adults. It's just a fight between kids. What's so fun about showing this to us? Or is this the game of some new witch? Are they watching us suffer from somewhere and laughing? By now, even I didn't have a clue who was showing us this, or for what reason. At the very least, it doesn't look as though this new tale is overflowing with affection. At first, I thought it was a tale of a beautiful world where no crime occurred since Claire had gotten past all of her regrets. But something's different. This tale is clearly filled with ill will towards us. I'm sure of that much now, but I don't have a clue who would want to show us this. Suddenly, a loud explosion rang out. It didn't feel like the sound of gunfire. After all, most people living a normal life never hear that sound. Drip, 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 drip. The sound of thick raindrops hitting the floor. There was no rain in this underground room. It was the sound of blood dripping down from Natsuhi's right eye. The bullet had gone in through her right eye, towards the back of her head. Natsuhi. It's your fault for jumping at me. The gun, which fell from Ava's grasp, landed on the floor with a hard metallic clang. As though in response to that sound, Natsuhi's head slowly turned to face the ceiling. Natsuhi! Natsuhi! Natsuhi flopped backwards. When the back of her head hit the floor, a red splash spread out beneath it, forming a single flower to adorn her dead face. Natsuhi, Nei-san. Why did you shoot her? Why did you shoot her, Ava? Ava! Kraus howled, raised his gun, and ran at Ava. At the same time, Hideyoshi leapt between them. A scuffle broke out between the two men. You killed Natsuhi! You killed Natsuhi! Ah! Kraus Nissan, you got it wrong! You got it all wrong! It was just an accident! Ava! How could you? I'll kill you! I'll kill you! I didn't shoot her. I didn't. I told her to stop and she just jumped at me and... Kraus, who had just seen his wife killed before his eyes, had lost all traces of rationality in his expression. He was so furious that, if he had knocked Hideyoshi aside and jumped at Ava, he might have torn her throat out. Why did you kill her? Why did you kill her? Eva! It was an accident. An accident. Calm down, Kraus-Nisan. Ow, 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 ow. Welcome to the stream. Another explosion rang out. Hideyoshi's face was covered with blood. The two of them had been fighting over the gun Kraus held, trying to push it away from themselves. When the barrel had turned to point at Kraus's chin, the sneering, formless Reaper, master of the Room of Gold, had swung its scythe once more. A line of blood trickled from Kraus's mouth. The two fell down, with Kraus's body on top of Hideyoshi. Letting out a cowardly cry, Hideyoshi backed away before Kraus's body could cover him. Honey! I didn't do anything. Kraus-Nisan's finger just got caught on the trigger. It's an accident. An accident, I tell you. That's right, an accident. This was all an accident. As the pair of them broke down sobbing and repeatedly claiming that this was all an accident, Rosa and the others were unable to say a thing. The witch also watched the scene, but said nothing, and appeared to be completely disinterested. It wasn't our fault. It's just an accident. An accident. You saw, right? Right? You saw that, didn't you, Rosa? Kraus-Nisan and Natsuhine-san both let their emotions get a hold of them and charged at us. Well, I can't say I'm sure. Stupid Rosa. You saw, didn't you? You saw it from right there, so you must know. I'm sorry. I can't tell if it happened by accident, or if you killed them and tried to make it look like an accident. Rosa, you... Rudolph-kun, you saw. You know what happened, right? Right? Sorry, but I agree with Rosa. We can't tell if it was an accident or intentional. Rosa's and Rudolph's gazes looked very cold and indifferent to Eva and her husband. What are we going to do? They were shot to death. We can't just write this off as an accident. The forest. We'll say they went to the forest and went missing. Then we can buy some time. That won't get us off the hook, right? The police will just search the whole forest. And anyway, why would those two go off into an uncultivated forest like that? It'll look suspicious from the start. There's no way we'll get away with it. It'll be okay. If we hide the corpses here, no one will be able to find them. If we all play dumb, it'll work. It won't. There's no way you can fool the police. If the two of them disappeared during a family conference, and we were arguing over the inheritance problem, the police won't just put it down as a case of missing persons. I just thought of something. Though Eva had been scratching at her head, overcome with emotion, her arms suddenly fell as though their strings had been cut. What did you think of? An accident. We just need to make it look like an accident. Don't talk stupid. What kind of accident? There are clear gunshot wounds on both corpses. Even if we burn them to make it look like they were caught in a fire, it'll still be obvious that they were killed by guns. A fire? That's not good enough. We need more. A much more massive accident.
A massive accident?
Ava slowly walked forward, tapped on it, and spoke. An explosion accident. We just need the sort of accident that will leave no traces of their corpses. She played with the switch that would cause an automatic explosion at midnight. Ava spun around to face them, a crazed expression on her face. It was truly a mad inspiration. If they flipped the switch to the right and waited for midnight, the 900 tons of explosive would wipe out the mansion without a trace. There wouldn't even be remnants of the corpses. There would be no way to tell that they had died by gunshot wounds before the explosion. It's an unshakable fact that this island is still filled with explosives from the war. Then, by coincidence, tomorrow night, something will set it off by chance and the whole thing will explode. Yes, it'll be an accident. An explosion accident. What do you say? There's no way the police will find out the truth. This way we can pull it off. We can hide the manner of their deaths. How ridiculous. Shaking, Hideyoshi frantically searched for a counter-argument, hoping to repudiate Ava's mad idea. But he couldn't find one. If they blew everything up, the facts would all be muddled. They could make it look as though Kraus and Natsuhi had died in an explosion accident. It's perfect, just perfect. After all, it was an accident that they died anyway. We're just changing the type of accident. Isn't that right? We can think up any story we want. By chance, the rest of us will happen to be in the hidden mansion tomorrow night. Then, when the explosion accident occurs, we'll be lucky enough to survive. That story should work.
Just what sort of story are you planning on? What kind of story could explain how the two of them alone remained here, while the rest of us went to the hidden mansion and conveniently managed to escape?
That's what we've got to think up now, stupid Rosa. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as we all agree to it. I'll think of something. I'm thinking. You all think too. Someone think of something. Calm down, Ava. I'll think about it, and so will everyone else. We'll definitely think of something, and it'll all work out. We'll share the burden. You won't have to carry it all yourself. It'll be okay. It will. I know we'll think of a good excuse.
What kind of excuse? We took the kids and all the servants to go exploring an underground passageway, leaving just the two of them behind. And the rest of us all decided to spend the night in the hidden mansion. How could any excuse work? It's insane.
And thinking up that insane thing is our job. Why are you acting like this has nothing to do with you? You think of something too.
Mesa, let me ask you a question. If you blow up the island, what will happen to this gold?
Well, we've finally gotten our hands on 20 billion yen of gold. And you want to blow it all away? We could just carry it all away. It's as simple as that. The explosion will happen tomorrow at midnight. We have a full day. If we all carry it together, we might...
You realize there's 10 tons of it, right? We're a small group who can each shoulder a sack of rice and weight at best, and we only have a single day. Just how much do you think we can carry back and forth across this long underground passage that goes all the way across the island? You're being absurd.
Here, We have this card. The card worth 1 billion yen with which that woman gave us. We could just carry whatever gold we can. We have the card worth 1 billion yen on top of that. If we split that 3 ways, we'll have more than 300 million each. That should be enough for all our purposes.
No thanks.
What?
There's a mountain worth 20 billion yen right there. Why should I be satisfied with a measly 300 million?
Rosa. Ava's face twisted in anguish, and was met by Rosa's look of cold unconcern.
Even if we factor in Kraus Nissan's share, that gives us a rightful share of 5 billion yen each. Subtract the 300 million from the card, and the rest of my shares, 4.7 billion. If you agree to pay that much to me, then you could do whatever you want with this mountain of gold.
What do you think you're saying? So, you don't intend to cooperate?
Mesa, please calm down and listen. I'm going to suggest to you the way that both of us can leave with the most money.
What?
I want you to go to the police and turn yourself in, admitting that you got into a scuffle and the gun went off.
Are you crazy? I don't want to go to the police.
Of course, we don't want to say that the crime happened here. The police would find the gold. Yes, what about the rose garden? It's pouring rain now, so the police probably won't find any contradictions in the crime scene. I'll let you think of an excuse for why you and Nissan started fighting while you were holding guns in the rainy rose garden. Don't try to get us and our shares involved just because you want to hide your crime.
Rosa!
It's not so bad, right? It's not like they'll lock you up for decades. It was an accident, right? You'll be able to get out after just a few years. Once you've paid for your crime and gotten out, then you can do whatever you want with your 5 billion.
No. Absolutely no. What would happen if you were arrested? What would happen to my husband's company?
Who cares about the company? With 5 billion yen, working any longer would just be a waste of time, right?
Rosa had never intended to go along with the idea Ava proposed. As far as the size of each person's portion went, no one had anything to gain from an explosion accident. By doing that, they could conceal Kraus and Natsuhi's deaths. There was no other reason to do it. From Rosa's perspective, the ideal outcome would be for them to confess to their crimes, without any unnecessary risks. All she wanted to do was change the crime scene from here to a different place. However, Ava didn't want to be arrested. She didn't like having her share shrink from 5 billion to 300 million. But even that was more than enough to cover the amount she'd been trying to wring out of Kraus in the first place. She wanted to hide what had happened here, even if it meant blowing away 4.7 billion yen. What would happen if they were arrested? The life, the company, the trust that Ava and her husband had worked so long to build. Those were things that couldn't be bought back with money. So if she wanted to hide Kraus and Natsuhi's deaths, even if it meant blowing up all 4.7 billion yen worth of her gold, but from Rosa's perspective, that was just irrational nonsense. Rosa!
What do you think you're doing with that gun, Mesa? Are you going to misfire and kill me too? That'll make finding an excuse even harder. In fact, it'll also make it harder to explain away the other 2 deaths as accidents too. If you end up linked to 3 deaths, that's a fairly huge crime. They'll seek the death penalty most likely, and settle for a life sentence. At the very least, you'll be put away for a good 10 plus years. give up and turn yourself in. If you do this, this'll be no more than a pair of unfortunate accidents. Of course, your prison term won't be too terrible either. Don't worry about George-kun. We'll take good care of him. And we'll make sure that all 5 billion of your share will be waiting for you when you get back.
Eva ground her teeth and glared. The Rosa she knew should have been shaking and obeying her commands. And yet, Rosa wasn't scared. Her blank expression, no, that slight smile, was one that Eva had never seen before.
Put the gun down, Mason. If you calm down, you'll see that my plan is the best one. Prison isn't so bad, right? Think of it as financial strategy. Even if they put you in for 10 years, there will be 5 billion waiting for you when you get out. That's like working for a 5 million yen salary, right? If you think of it that way, you might even enjoy your job.
Liar! You just want to make off with my share while I'm in there. Like your man did to you.
He has nothing to do with this, okay? I'm not going to run off. I would never, ever run away with money. I would never do that.
Rosa's one stony expression was filled with rage. The two howling people pointed their guns at each other, shouting insults at each other. You could smell the gold room's reaper slinking closer. The smell of gunpowder, the explosive smell of death, filled the room. Blorp. It says blorp. A bubble of blood dripped from Rosa's mouth. Then, she fell over lifelessly, like a mannequin. Eva! It wasn't me. I swear I didn't even pull the trigger. Yeah, I also didn't expect blorp. Eva-san, you just shot Natsui-san. So your gun wasn't loaded, right? You never reloaded, so if you pulled the trigger, that gun wouldn't kill anyone. Have no fear. As Kiria said this, she maneuvered the lever action with a practiced hand, and a smoke-smelling shell casing was ejected. Smoke-smelling shell casing. Hey, say that 10 times fast. It hit the floor with a small, metallic sound. That tiny sound had a disturbing ring to it. Rosa-san's analysis was a little naive. Converting this many unmarked gold ingots into usable money, she has no idea how difficult that would be. Dad just used it as show money to gain confidence, and even that was enough to create the rumor called the Legend of the Ishinomiya Gold. It's impossible to liquidate it. A pile of gold you can't use is no better than a pile of shit. 10 tons of gold exchanged on the black market. His successor and his wife dead in suspicious circumstances. Expecting that not to attract attention is what's really impossible. It's better not to get the police involved. We'll blow up this island and destroy all the evidence. If it's tough parting with the gold, feel free to grab a few ingots. The 1 billion yen on the cash card is more than enough. In other words, Eva-san, you're right. I'm glad. It looks like we're on the same page. If the police get involved, who knows what might happen. It's the same with cashing the gold. You'd just create more opportunities for word to get out somehow. It's more than we can handle. The billion yen that woman over there exchanged for cash is the only money we can get our hands on. And even splitting that billion, it'll be more than enough for what we need. On top of that, now that Rosa is dead, our shares have increased even more. We can each leave this island with 500 million. Exactly. As long as we don't let our greedy desire to cash in the gold control us, we can pretend that everything that occurred on this island never happened. We have a way to do that right here. There is no longer any reason to worry about accidental discharges or people being shot to death on this island. Everything would be erased equally by the explosion accident. No matter what happened between now and midnight the next day, everything would be rewritten by the explosion accident. And you told me to turn myself in? Stupid Rosa. You weren't satisfied with a measly 300 million? This is what you get for being too greedy. You get nothing more than you deserved. You got nothing more than you deserved. But, Kiria-san, there was no need to shoot her, right? Even Rosa-san would have figured it out if you just told her. I did need to shoot her. After all, Rosa-san's the only one who didn't fire her gun. What does that matter? Oh, that was Hideyoshi, sorry. What does that matter? The guns lying at your feet are Kraus Nissan's and Eva Nissan's. Both of those have been fired. However, Rosa's gun can shoot if you just pull the trigger. It's hard to reload one of these if you aren't used to a lever action. An amateur couldn't do it. Kiria-san, what are you talking about? You... They finally realized what Kiria meant. Rosa had the only gun that could still fire, so I shot her first. How foolish we were. Why didn't we realize sooner? We should have realized that there's a mechanism for erasing everything that happens on this island. Eva and Hideyoshi hurried to pick up the guns that lay at their feet. At the same time, fire spat from Kiria's gun once more. Hideyoshi let out a short scream, clutched at his chest, and fell over face down. Honey! Honey! What's wrong with this? Eva fiddled with the lever action, trying to imitate something she vaguely remembered from old westerns. But something seemed to be caught, and the still open lever didn't budge. See? It's pretty hard. You. Kiria finished reloading with a fluid motion. The way she held it was as innocent and sure as a kid playing with a squirt gun. A shark. I guess these dudes. With another heartless cry of gunfire, the puppet called Ava slumped down to the floor, as though all her strings had been cut. Riddle-san, the billion-yen card. Sure. The cash card with a billion yen, which Ava had just grabbed from the witch. That alone was more than enough. It was worth more than enough. The 20 billion yen pile of gold had skewed everyone's sense of value. People could kill over a few million yen, and this was a billion. Rosa-san, those were some famous last words there. A measly 300 million. You're too greedy. No doubt. Lucky me. I didn't have to fish through her corpse. As Rudolph walked up to Eva's body, he found the card lying beside it and picked it up. So, this thin little card is worth 1 billion yen. Keeping the company going feels ridiculous now. Should we close up shop and spend the rest of our lives in some southern country? That would just get boring. Besides, I like seeing you get all worried about some problem, then play around like a little kid when you finally overcome it. Sure you do.
Thank you, Miss Golden Witch. Rudolph-san and I will make good use of this billion. Krasny-san promised to treat you in a gentlemanly fashion, but I haven't made any such promise.
She pulled the trigger without a trace of mercy. When the ringing of gunfire died down, blood trickled from the witch's mouth, and she fell over onto the bed. Once again, Kiria ejected the used shell casing. The four metal sounds of used shells hitting the floor seemed to symbolize the fact that Rudolph and his wife now possessed all shares of the gold.
All of them are really slow-witted. From the moment she explained about the bomb, the entire notion of playing nicely vanished from this island, and they failed to notice.
Sorry about this, Aniki, Rosa. What can I say? That's just how the cookie crumbles. Cut me a break, okay? Aniki and Aniki got into a fight, Rosa gets dragged in, and I run away with the bomb. Just the same way it's always been, right? At the start, Rudolph and Kiria hadn't planned to kill everyone and take everything for themselves. Kiria had quickly realized by the size of the gun in her hands that it would probably hold 5 rounds at a time. Yes, both Kiria and Rudolph knew a lot about these guns. Rudolph, who had gotten his interest in old-style Western guns from his father, owned a shotgun of a similar design. Since Kiria had the same skill at handling firearms, they both knew enough about these guns to enjoy shooting together. Including the witch, there had been 8 people there. 6 people besides the 2 of them. Each gun held 5 rounds. That was 1 short. They didn't have enough to kill everyone. I was honestly surprised when they got into a fight and one of the guns went off. That coincidental accident had provided the missing bullet. It wasn't the second shot. The very first shot, which had accidentally killed Natsuki, had guaranteed the result of this massacre. In this smoke and corpse-filled room of gold, the 2 of them wore easygoing smiles, hardly any different from the ones they usually wore. So, what now? Rudolph picked up Rosa's gun. Then, he fired a test shot at the wall and ejected the old shell with a smooth motion like Kiria's. Kiria went to the box of bullets on the table, casually picked up a few and loaded them one after another into her gun.
Set the bomb switch to on. Then, we just need to wait 24 hours.
The others will make a lot of noise when they realize everyone's missing in the morning.
And then we just need to shut them up.
I guess so. What about Balor?
He's your son, not mine.
Don't say that. He really took a shine to you. He respects you, you know.
Then think of something clever that'll convince him. I'll worry about Anji. You worry about Battler-kun. Fair enough?
Sure.
I may be kind to my own child, but it's quite a struggle for me to treat Azumi-san's kid the same way. You understand, I hope? Kirie's voice had grown cold. Kirie had acted warmly towards Battler because that had been the adult thing to do. He was Rudolph's son, so she just tried to avoid being unkind. But underneath, he was the son of Azumi, the woman whose death had done nothing to quell the hate Kirie had harbored towards her. Now that she had given birth to Anji and finally built up a new family, was Battler's return really such a happy thing for her? Brace yourself. Now that we've come this far, we can only go for the billion yen or die trying. If Battler-kun is unconvinced, I'm sorry, but I won't be taking any chances.
No need to threaten me. I'll take care of it. I'll find a good story to tell him.
Make sure you do a good job of it. If Anji hears that Battler-kun has died in an accident, I'm sure she'll be very sad.
Sure. How do we start?
We've nothing to gain by waiting for morning. Now is the best time.
Oh, wonderful. Not even time for a break. Yep, that got intense. I mean... I won't say too much. Maybe their true colors are shining through. Maybe there's some embellishment here and there. Maybe not. Who knows? A test? What is he thinking? At this time of night? Right now? Battler yelled wildly into the receiver. When he said, "at this time of night," George and Jessica turned to look. According to the clock, it was past midnight. It might be a normal time to be told to brush their teeth and go to bed, but they couldn't understand what this test was all about. Okay, I'll hand it over. Here, George Aniki. It's my dad. Hello? This is George speaking. Ah, hey, George-kun. Sorry to call so late. I'll bet I didn't wake you though, right? You're all still up chatting away?
Pretty much. Maria-chan is sleeping. Oh, wait, looks like she just woke up. So, what did you want to talk about? Battler-kun said something about a test?
Yup. Dad can be such a pain sometimes. He suddenly came down from his room. A bunch of stuff happened and he suddenly started talking about which grandchild would make the best successor.
But isn't Uncle Kraus the successor?
He says that none of us are good enough to be the successor. So he's talking about skipping us adults and choosing for one of your grandchildren instead. It's really shaken us up having this forced on us all of a sudden. Aniki and the others are all arguing about it across the room. Maybe you can hear Aniki's shrill voice leaking through across the phone.
Is that so? If that's what grandfather says, then there's no way around it, I guess. In that case, what should we do?
He says he wants to call you out one by one, starting with Jessica-chan. Oh, wait a sec. Okay, you're still there? Looks like George-kun and Jessica-chan will be first up to bat. He wants Jessica-chan to go to the parlor in the mansion. You're supposed to go out by the chapel.
It's so sudden, I hardly feel ready. What sort of test is it?
It looks like Dad's made some sort of crazy quiz. Some weird questions about what it means to be the head. Of course, George felt as though something wasn't right. However, Kinzo was famous for doing radical things on a whim. Even this strange test seemed plausible once he heard that it was a sudden idea of Kinzo's. But even in that case, if he wanted to test them one by one, why wouldn't he call them out one by one? Like an interview, they should just have to wait in the reception room and go when they were called. Why would two people be called to two different places at the same time? The plan didn't seem to make sense, which made George feel as though he was missing something. Still, I wondered why he wanted you to go to the chapel of all places. Seems your grandfather expects a lot from you. I'm not sure what it is, but I think he wants to talk to you about something alone.
Grandfather wants to talk to me?
I wonder what it is. You are the most accomplished of all his grandchildren, after all. I guess there's something he wants to tell you in particular. Well, anyway, that's what he says. Get over here right away. I'm also supposed to go there. Let's get this over with. We'll both catch cold if we keep this up.
Is that so? I see. Then I'll head towards the chapel. Jessica-chan will go to the parlor. Okay. I'll see you in a bit then.
Just what sort of test? What sort of private conversation could Kinzo want to have at this time of night? However, it was a well-known fact that Kinzo didn't have very long to live. It was conceivable that he had some last words for each of his individual descendants. Inside George's mind, the faint feeling that something was wrong was replaced by curiosity, and a desire to meet Kinzo directly and hear the details. George set down the receiver and quickly explained to the others.
It's as you heard. Grandfather says he wants to give us all some kind of test. A test? After hiding in the study all these years, he decides to give us a pop quiz this late at night? Damn that old geezer. What's he thinking? It seems our parents feel the same way. So it sounds as though they're very worked up about it.
Well, I doubt getting worked up about it will change Grandfather's mind any.
Exactly. We might as well accept it. It's the order of the head of the family, after all. Let's obey it. To start, Jessica-chan and I are being called out. I'm going to the chapel. Jessica-chan, you're supposed to go to the parlor in the mansion.
What about Maria and me?
I think they'll call about you later. You can wait here. Ugh, a midnight test. What could it be? What kind of test is it? A quiz? A puzzle? I'm really good at wolves and sheep puzzles. Ew.
Oh, Maria. Oh no. This is one hell of a wolf and sheep puzzle. Maria, who was now fully awake, seemed to be very excited about this unexpected midnight test. Then we'll just hang out here.
Yes. Okay, I'm going. I think they're already waiting for us. So, he's making one of his grandkids the successor. Sounds just great for me. Now I can let one of you guys deal with it. I'm gonna become the successor. I wanna do it. Ooh.
It'd be fun to have Maria as the successor.
Bye. See you later.
Rudolph put down the receiver and stood up. Okay. Guess I'm going to the chapel. It's damn cold out there. Goda-san, have some coffee waiting for me when I get back, will you? Next to Rudolph, Goda was lying face up. His face was covered by a crossword puzzle book. However, its pages were stained with blood, and there was no need to move the book to imagine how he had met his pitiful end.
How was it? A nice script, don't you think?
Yep. We should be thanking Dad. All we've got to do is say it's him being fickle and no one thinks to doubt it.
Then, let's split it up.
Let's split up. Enunciate.
I'll take care of Jessica-chan. You take care of George-kun.
You got it. Let's get this over with quickly, then relax with some coffee.
There won't be any plurals, yes? No sudden pangs of conscience?
Kitty smiled coldly. It would probably have been safer to call them out one by one and finish them off together. However, Kitty had chosen to have her husband work separately. She wanted to measure Rudolph's resolve. She was the only one who got her hands dirty, and Rudolph just watched. His heart would not be as dedicated to this venture. By having him dirty his own hands, she could make him truly determined to see this thing through. Kiria understood this sort of mind game better than anyone else. Rudolph reflexively averted his gaze from the cold glint in her eyes, but then he just shrugged and answered her question. Of course, we have 1 billion yen riding on this. I'm a man. I'm not going to miss a chance that'll never come again in my lifetime.
I expected no less of you, Rudolph-san. I love people who seize chances when they come. That's why I fell in love with you.
Thanks. I'm glad.
Rudolph-san.
What?
You'll stay?
Huh? What did you say?
You'll stay the same Rudolph-san that I love, right?
Of course. When have I ever let you down? Instead of that, you should be worrying more about the kind of champagne we'll use to toast our victory.
I'll do that. Take care now. If you really treasure Baloo-kun, don't kill George-kun in front of the chapel, okay? It'll be a pain if he finds the corpse.
Yeah, I know. I'll lure him away somehow. It's raining outside. Should be some way to do it.
And you aren't a villain in some old western, got it? Don't grant any last requests or ask for any last words, okay? Kiria lifted up her gun again and pulled on the lever to eject the casing from the bullet she had killed Godo with.
Honey. Honey. Eva was holding Hideyoshi's body and crying. She hadn't been shot at all. The bullet had grazed the side of her head and missed. She hadn't been playing dead. She really thought that she had been shot. When Kiryu's gun spat fire, Eva felt something swift and fierce scrape past her head, before feeling lightheaded and fainting. Then, later on, she woke up in the now silent room of the gold. The corpse of her beloved husband lay beside her, along with the corpses of Kraus, Natsuhi, and Rosa. It was a room of death and piled up bodies. When she had cried all she could over Hideyoshi's body, she realized that she still had something she needed to do. George is in danger. George. They're trying to use the bomb to blow up everything, to bury this whole island with an explosion accident. Eva checked the clock and was proven right. As expected, the switch was set to the right, which meant that it was active. Eva moved to flip it to the left and stopped. That's right. As long as the switch points to the right, everything that happened on this island will disappear into a night of illusion. Yes, this is an illusion. No matter what happens tonight, everything will become muddled and hidden away. They're going to kill everyone else. That has to be it. I'm sure of it. When she looked at the table with the box of bullets, she saw signs that they had grabbed several large handfuls of bullets from the box. It clearly showed that they planned to use that many bullets. I have to fight. If only to protect just the life of my precious son. The gun that I dropped when I was shot is stuck with the lever handle open. No matter how hard I pull, it won't open any further and it won't close again. The bullet must have gotten jammed and broken it. It's just as Kiryu said. Loading a bullet is tough if you aren't used to it. Please, honey, lend me your strength. Help me protect George. Lend me your strength. In Hideyoshi's hand was Kraus's gun, which he had been trying to pick up. Eva took it, prayed to her husband one more time, and tugged on the lever handle. With a light metallic sound, the golden casing spun through the air and bounced off the ground. When she timidly tried to push the lever back, this time it returned to its original place without any resistance. There was another metallic clang. It was the sound of a new bullet being loaded. I figured it'd be something like this. Someone scheming to show me the game that had disgusted me the most so they could laugh at me. In the game so far, various people have been suspected of being the culprit or an accomplice. The only difference now was that Rudolph and Kiryu were those suspects. However, that was the most aggravating development possible for Anji. Even Leon was full of painful thoughts. They had been lucky enough to solve the Epitaph, which was the only miracle that could lead to a game with no victims. How ironic that they were unable to prevent the tragedy. Does this mean that we aren't allowed to have a future where we all happily return from this island alive, even if the Epitaph is miraculously solved before the crime occurs? There will be absolutely no miracles. I recalled those words, which I had heard in one of the fragments Bernkastel had shown me. Bernkastel-san, you showed me how wonderful my world was.
I don't want to believe that you created this tale just to hurt Anje. By now, even I realize that you're the game master here. Please, tell me, why are you showing us this game? Of course, no one answered Leon's muttered question. The game created to mock Anji continued emotionlessly, with more terrible twists that didn't betray anyone's expectations anymore. Ha! Show whatever terrible game you like. You're trying to say that this is one of the endless possibilities inside the cat box, right? Just do whatever you want. I won't let something like this get to me. Someday, I'll find out the truth of what happened on October 5th, 1986. After meeting Kiria in the parlor, Jessica was told that the test would be held in the dining hall. She followed Kiria there. Aunt Kiria, there's no one here. He'll be here soon. Sit over there. Jessica sat in that chair, looking nervous and agitated. Kiria was by far the calmer of the two. Kiria closed the door behind her, revealing the gun that rested behind it. Jessica was facing the other way, so she saw nothing. Did you hear anything, Aunt Kiria? Just, you know what kind of test this is? Yes. It'll be over soon. Sure hope so. As she complained, Jessica turned her head around, and the tip of her nose bumped into cold metal. Huh. Uncle Rudolph, what are you doing? Just can't bring myself to shoot you in the back. Careful. Guns are dangerous. What on earth are you doing? You really have to ask why someone pointed a gun and pulled the trigger? Rudolph reloaded rapidly and pulled the trigger again without any sign of hesitation. All we gotta see you. Bam. As the sound of gunfire thundered through the rain, George grabbed at his side, fell to his knees. That's weird. Looks like it shoots low. This gun's really got it bad. Somebody, help me. Uncle Rudolph is... And George started stumbling away, still clutching at his side. His voice as he called for help was weak and thin. Behind him, Rudolph looked perfectly calm as he fiddled with his gun and inspected the sights. It hurts. It hurts. A gouging pain in George's side tormented him. It was so painful that he could barely stand and walk. He leaned against the trunk of a tree, trying to cover his wound. He was no longer able to stand up back up. George didn't have a clue what was going on. However, he had thought it strange the whole time. Of course it was strange that he should be called out to a place like this at a time like this. And yet, how could he have guessed that something was wrong? After all, his own uncle had told him that his grandfather was calling for him from the family conference. How could he have gotten suspicious? Sorry about this, George Bill. It hurts, doesn't it? If I knew it'd be like this, it'd have been more merciful to blow your brains out from behind. Thought it'd be too cruel to finish you off before you knew it hit you, but it looks like I got it backwards.
Oh, George, no. No. You poor boy. Why, Uncle Rudolph? Why would my kind uncle do this? Just forget about all this. But tomorrow night, none of it will have happened. With a quick use of the letter handle, he loaded another bullet. The casing of the bullet that had pierced George's side fell heartlessly in front of him. Everyone's gonna die in a sudden, unfortunate accident. Until that moment, we'll all have been a big, happy family. That's how it's gonna be. So don't worry about this. Forget it all. Of course, George didn't have a clue what Rudolph was talking about. All he knew was that Rudolph wanted to kill him, and that he showed no trace of hesitation. The image George had of Rudolph as the ideal, cool, joke-loving adult didn't match up with the Rudolph standing in front of him, holding a gun. No. Maybe it didn't fit because it fit too young. Even though there was a gun in his hands, Rudolph had a huge smile on his face as though he was about to tell some hilarious joke. Why would that kind, funny Uncle Rudolph do this? It made him feel unimaginably sad, and tears flowed from his eyes. Uncle Rudolph, I admired you so much. Haven't I always told you, George Coon? To make sure you don't end up as an adult like me. Now you see. In the next world, make it your first priority to learn how to recognize a real bastard. I know you can do it. After all, it's just another kind of studying. Biting down the pain in his side, and summoning the last of his strength, George threw his whole body into a roundhouse kick. At the same time, fire spat from Rudolph's gun. The bullet pierced George's chest. George twisted and fell as blood gushed from the wound. He moaned wordlessly, clenching blood-stained teeth. The frigid gun was pressed harshly against its temple. So long. Go become a great man in the next world. Don't get blinded by money like me. I can't believe that my uncle would kill for money. You're so innocent. People can kill for money. The ruthless trigger forestalled any further questions. George's hands, which had been covering his wound, dropped lifelessly. After Rudolph saw the last glimmer of life leave him, he let out a deeply exhausted sigh he'd been holding back for some time. I expected worse. Rudolph looked up into the dark, rainy sky, the raindrops hitting him full in the face, and laughed with an indescribable expression, his tongue hanging out. I figured my conscience would give me a harder time. Now that it's over, it's a pride how little I feel. Rudolph started laughing. This was probably just the thing Kitty had hoped for. It had taken some effort to kill George. Though he had been merciless, the last traces of conscience in Rudolph's heart had probably slowed him down. However, now that he had killed someone with his own hands, the turning point that few people ever reach, Rudolph had finally awakened. No, he finally understood. It's exactly the same as screwing suckers out for their money, out of their money, not out for their money. Same old game of musical chairs. When there's a pile of money up for grabs, there's no prize for taking your time. The slow ones just get kicked down to hell. I've scammed dozens of unfortunate saps and buried them in debt. Several of them probably ended up bankrupt, and some of those might have hanged themselves. And I always laughed, saying that wasn't my problem. That's all there is to it. The only difference now is that, for the first time, I've dealt the final blow with my own hands. Thanks, Kitty. You're always the best at cutting away my naivete. Rudolph's evil laugh rang out. The laugh was so purely evil it was almost refreshing. Evil that still has a conscience and thinks itself good is far more repulsive to behold. If a man commits himself to an evil act, how much more pleasant and graceful it is when he is honest about his intentions. In that sense, Rudolph's evil smile and laugh truly were pleasant and graceful. And so, surely the brutal, bloody stage of the dining hall was also refreshing. Clang, a thud, a crack, squish. A strange mixture of these sounds kept repeating over and over at the same tempo. Each time, a red splash landed on the nearby dangling tablecloth. Jessica-chan, are you listening? Kitty asked this with the sort of smile any aunt might make to her niece. However, Jessica didn't answer. There's nothing particularly surprising about this. After all, by now, her nose was broken, her eyes had been smashed, her teeth had been knocked out. And not only her nose, but her entire face was now hardly recognizable as a face, just a lump of bloody flesh. Kitty finally stopped her task, repeatedly smashing Jessica's face with the stock of her gun. Still sitting on top of Jessica, Kitty tossed her gun to the side, pulled a compact out of her pocket, and looked at her own face in the mirror. Then, finally, she realized that her face was covered by speckles of fresh blood. How terrible. His clothes will have to go too. With a muffled laugh, Kitty shakily rose to her feet. Jessica wasn't moving anymore. She had been convulsing a bit until a second ago, but now she was as still as stone. When it comes to punching women in the face, your aunt is an old pro. Sorry about that. If you hadn't resisted, I could have let you have a much cleaner death. Kitty pulled the tablecloth off and used it like a towel to wipe the blood from all over her body. However, instead of taking the blood off, it just smeared it around and did nothing to remove the stench of blood and death that covered her. When she got tired of smearing blood over the tablecloth, Kitty walked over to the extension telephone in the corner of the room. Then, she dialed the number for the cousin's room in the guest house. Hello, it's me. It's your turn now, Ballerkin. You're next to go to the front of the chapel. Yes, that's right. I haven't been given any instructions about Maria-chan. Have her wait there. Yes, take it seriously. I'm rooting for you to be chosen as the successor. With the same smile as usual, and the partly wiped splashes of blood still covering her face. Kiria finished her call to Balor. When she set down the receiver, there was a small knock, and Rudolph came back into the room. Well, what a mess. Shizaka-chan has better reflexes than I gave her credit for. I didn't expect her to knock the gun away when she did. Bit of a shame she had to end up looking like this. What a waste of the good looks she got from Natsuhime-san. And how about your end? Did he give you much trouble? No problems there. Plain and simple. When Kiria heard Rudolph's instant response, she favored him with an evil smile. Yes. The man she loved was the sort who could do whatever he put his mind to, without letting cheap emotions get in the way. I love you, Rudolph-san. I wouldn't have it any other way. It's hard to imagine an easier job to net you a billion yen. It's like Dad always said. In the life of every man, there comes one day where he has to be willing to kill. Anyway, Rudolph's gonna Rudolph, I guess. That's just how he rolls. I feel like Kitty is used to it by now. But man, timing, dude, not cool. To be fair, that's like the least of the bad things he's doing here. But, in other words, always be willing to kill if your own survival depends on it. That's my favorite of the things he used to say. What's next? My rifle is hungry for blood. You've got a big job coming up. Convincing Balor. Ah, that's right. That'll be a pain. Hope I don't have to end it by pulling the trigger. I'm fond of it, you know. Our little family of 3 with Anji. But, if you really want Balor to join in on that, good luck. Sure. I'm not gonna give him the room to argue back. Don't worry. I've worked out a scenario to trick him good. Good luck. I do hope for Anji's beloved big brother not to get caught up in an explosive... I'm just gonna start that sentence over again. I do hope for Anji's beloved big brother not to get caught up in an explosion accident if it can be avoided. I know. Alright. I'm heading back to the chapel. Rudolph-san. What? If Balor-kun doesn't buy it... I know. If it comes to that, bang. Remember, Balor-kun is the type to take action, so much so that he left the family out of protest when I married you. If your story to him isn't airtight, and he starts questioning things later on, he'll prove fatal to us. I know. Believe in me. So, if I decide that Balor-kun is the least bit suspicious, I'll kill him myself. He's not my kid after all. Yeah, I know. So, Kiria, promise me one thing. What's that? If I can trick Balor, and the 3 of us make it off this island. Yes? Never say that Balor isn't your kid again. You're his mother. Please. Sure, I promise. Kiria shrugged and answered as she loaded bullets. You go to the chapel. I'll wait until Balor-kun has left, and then clean up everything inside the guest house. Sure you'll be alright doing that alone? You worry about yourself. Battler left the guest house under an umbrella. He had been called to the area in front of the chapel, just like George had been. Not even in half an hour had passed since the time George and Jessica had been called out. Apparently, their test didn't last too long. Damn geezer. You didn't even show up for lunch, and now you show up in the middle of the night with a test. I'll bet living as a shut-in's got his sense of day and night all backwards. Complaining all the way, Battler strolled off into the rain. Almost immediately, he was swallowed up by the darkness of the rose garden and passed out of sight. And then, Kiria could be seen coming out from the darkness of the rose garden. Her right hand held a gun. Her left, an umbrella. Her inner pocket contained the master keyring she had stolen from Goda. Her right pocket had a handful of bullets. Her left held a knife she had taken from the kitchen. She was a carefully and perfectly outfitted murderer. Another bolt of lightning struck down from the swirling skies. It lit up only half of Kiria's face. Her cheek was still covered with Jessica's blood. Under the eaves, Kiria folded up her umbrella, smiled, and spoke to no one. How's it going, everyone? Rudolph could be seen under the eaves of the chapel. He had hidden his gun in the nearby shadows and was now smoking a cigarette. Should be easy to trick that dimwit. And if it doesn't work, that's just too bad. He glanced over at the place he had stowed his gun. The cigarette smoke began to pleasantly cloud his mind. Battler isn't a kid anymore. He's an adult who can choose his path through life as he pleases. When animals grow up, it's normal for them to leave their group and go on a journey. Humans are the only ones that keep treating them like kids, even after they get big. If it was gonna come to this, I should never have begged for you to come back. I regret dragging you back into the family. He puffed out those words, along with the smoke. When Battler came, he didn't intend to voice those regrets of his. Rudolph had already determined to play the part of the evil murderer who kills for money. He's still not here. What's taken him so long? At that moment, he heard the sound of someone stepping on gravel. He looked up, thinking that Battler had finally arrived, but the sound had come from the direction opposite of the mansion. Rudolph, how could you? How could you do that to my husband? Aniki, so, you're alive. Yeah, sorry, but I lived. Too bad. But my husband wasn't so lucky. How could you? How could you? With a face obscured by anger and tears, Ava slowly walked closer, her gun raised. Her husband had been killed right in front of her. She probably wouldn't even hesitate. Realizing that a gun, quivering with anger, was pointed right at his chest, Rudolph backed away. As he pretended to back away, he approached the gun he had hidden in the shadows. Calm down, Aniki. Put the gun down. I never wanted that to happen. Everything happened so fast, there was nothing I could do. How can you say such half-baked lies? As Ava had said, it really had been a half-baked, pointless thing to say. Rudolph would have said anything if he thought it would calm Ava's emotions before she pulled the trigger. which he looked capable of doing at any moment now. Then, Rudolph's foot came in contact with his gun. Let's just talk it over. George-kun should be here soon. Oh. Hey, George-kun, we're over here. Rudolph waved as though George was coming from behind Ava. But Ava's attention turned in that direction. That idiot. My simple big sister has always been a sucker. Die. Gunfire. Then, a bit later, the sound of something heavier than rain, drip-dropping onto the cobblestone floor. Rudolph, I've always been able to see through your tricks. The bullet Ava fired had struck Rudolph square in the chest. The bullet Rudolph fired had missed, landing near Ava's feet. Guess I was right. This gun does shoot low. He dropped the gun into a puddle with a splash, staggered backwards, and leaned against the wall of the chapel. Yeah, that's not it. All good westerns end with the bad guy's bullet missing. Ava dashed up to him, kicked away the gun that had fallen into a puddle, and grabbed Rudolph by the collar. What about George? Where is he? I won't let you kill him. Sorry, Aniki. The deed's already done. You're lying. Did it in the bushes over there. Go take a look. You'll see. Rudolph. You... Ava, who said she had always been able to see through her little brother's tricks, also knew that Rudolph's final words, as his consciousness began to fade from having been shot, were not a lie. How could you? George! George! An empty shell casing bounced off the cobblestone. The furious gun barrel was pressed against Rudolph's forehead. Go ahead and shoot. I doubt that'll bring you much peace, though. Bolt of lightning turned everything white. However, the wall of the chapel was stained blood red. A red splash like a crushed tomato covered the wall behind Rudolph's head. Then, leaving a red trail behind him, Rudolph slid down the wall, sat on the ground, and fell over. George! Ava dashed off towards the bushes. She found George's corpse almost immediately, screamed, and broke down sobbing. Rudolph's bloody corpse was exposed to the rain that ran down off the eaves. His eyes were still wide open. A ragged, fist-sized hole had been torn open in the back of his head, exposing its contents to the open air. Inside was minced flesh and bright red jelly. That goop, which looked like someone had mixed it up with a spoon, dripped from his eyes, nose, ears, mouth, and the hole in his head. Dad. Ah! Anja clutched at her head, sobbing and moaning. Her father had dirtied his hands with murder over money, and on top of that, he had faced such a cruel end, and Anja had been forced to see his corpse. It was hard to imagine a more painful experience for a daughter to go through. I'm totally fed up with this. It's completely meaningless. Bernkastel-san, I know you're here somewhere. Please, make this game stop. There's no point to it. As if in answer to that yell, a black shadow appeared a few seats in front of them. Or perhaps she had been sitting there the whole time. Maybe we just couldn't see her until we realized she was there. It was, without a doubt, the back of Berncastle's head. Berncastle-san.
Pipe down back there. Can't you watch the show quietly?
The witch turned around with bored eyes, as though the two who were yelling were the strange ones. Please stop this! We realize that this world is the sealed catbox world of October 4th and 5th. The games are like messages. Or maybe more like a roundabout love letter, conveying a single message over several games. But we already understand. We know that endless tales can seep out of the sealed 2-day catbox. And beyond that, I even know the culprit and the motive. That has already been revealed and has nothing to do with this game. We both know the answer, that this is a catbox tale, so there shouldn't be any reason to hold further games like this. If this is supposed to be a game between you and us, then we already know the answer. The game should be able to end now. Oh, she's back. It's been a while. Alright.
Just shut up already. Didn't you hear Burn tell you to be quiet?
Another shadow appeared in the next seat over, turned around and scolded the pair.
There is a point. If you just watch, you'll see it.
Are you the game master?
Not at all.
Then who is it? Could it be Claire?
If you watch, you'll see. Not much longer now. The tragedy is already reaching its climax. Who'll survive, I wonder?
Berncastle isn't the game master? Then who is? Could Claire have created this cruel tale? Or are there even more witches playing around with this catbox? The guest house was wrapped in silence. There were no sounds, no trace of anyone's presence, no breathing from anyone alive. There wasn't anything to be heard anymore. If there was a sound, then that would be only the sound of a murderer's feet stepping across the floor. Kyria slowly passed through the lounge. In her right hand was a gun. In her left hand was a knife. The knife was stained with blood, and some was still dripping from the tip, leaving behind red tracks like a demon's footprints. Her hands were filled with tools of murder, so she wasn't capable of doing anything but murder. In that sense, at this moment, she was nothing more than a pure and unadulterated murderer. The murderer reached the front door, and then, finally, she looked down at her blood-stained hands. The hands that carried the tools of death with which she had performed her cruel massacre. At last, the murderer realized that she couldn't even open the door like this, and threw away the knife in her left hand. Then, she placed her hand on the door, turned around calmly, and spoke. Sorry, everyone, but don't worry. In a few days, the newspapers will be talking about an unfortunate accident. And I'm sure the news shows it.
The news shows, newspapers, and all the rumor-spreading people will say that you must have spent your time in happy ignorance until the instant of the accident. In other words, that'll mean you all had a good time until midnight on October 5th. So said the one who had stained the guest house red. At this hour, the cousins are all staying up late and playing around. The servants who have the morning shift are all snoring. The ones on the late shift are probably filling in the log or taking a break about now. That's how it is. From where I am now, I can hear the laughter coming from the cousins' room. Humans outside the cat box would probably never understand what Kitty was saying. Only she, shut inside the cat box of the explosion accident, could understand the true meaning of her words. Outside, the rain poured down heavily. Kitty almost picked up an umbrella, but then stopped suddenly, as if she'd just thought of something. Then, she started walking out into the rain, not caring at all whether she got wet or not. Did the murderer not want an umbrella to get in the way of her pointing her gun? Or was she hoping that the rain could act as a shower to get the blood off her? Kitty stopped walking, as though something unexpected had caught her attention. However, this time, it was no whim of hers. How could you? Kill my husband. Oh, I'm going to say real quick, excuse me. I just realized I haven't done that the whole time. Eva-san, that's surprising. How could I have missed you from that distance? And thank you for your safety. I'm just as surprised. I still can't believe I survived. You came here from the underground stairway behind the chapel, right? In that case. That's right. I bumped into Rudolph in front of the chapel. Did he look well? Oh, yes. It's been a while since we siblings had a nice chat. I see. He's such a show-off, but so unreliable in his hide spot. Looks like he's hopeless without me after all. Kitty had already realized that Rudolph had been killed. However, no trace of urgency or panic rose to her face. She just closed her eyes with her unusual, unconcerned expression. And when she opened them again, she had regained her composed smile. Thank you. I'm grateful. Now I really can have everything to myself. What's that blood on your clothes? You just came out of the guest house, didn't you? Don't tell me. Yes, that's right. I'm in the middle of a murder right now. You killed them. All of them. Even Maria-chan. There was no reason to let them live until morning. When morning came, there would be an uproar that could prove to be a pain. They might have used a wireless to contact someone off the island and gotten help. So, this was clearly the best move to take. If you flip over the chessboard and look at it that way. Monster! I can't believe you're so blinded by greed that you committed murder. Don't forget what you did yourself. That was an accident. I didn't mean to kill them. I'm not like you. Oh, yes, you did. If that gun hadn't gone off, you would have kept on arguing and grappling with each other. If you had, then the two of you would eventually have reached the same answer as I did, just a few steps slower. I'm not a murderer. Not true.
You're absolutely a murderer, just one who didn't get a chance. You were saved by an accidental discharge, that's all. If it weren't for that bit of good luck, and if I hadn't sprung into action before you did, then you would have played the same role I'm playing now. That is a fact, a truth of an alternate future, and it won't go away, no matter how much you try to deny it. Don't try and confuse me. However, on the inside, Ava understood. Back then, she probably had been saved by that coincidental misfire. If the argument had continued much longer, she would surely have grown a desire to kill Kraus and the others, and might even have carried it out. She simply could not deny the existence of that demon deep within her heart. Only the theatergoers knew. They knew that she could become a killer in another world. And Kirie, who did not have the theatergoing ability, knew this fact also. Apparently, she really was an extraordinary person. So, for some time, Ava could only grind her teeth in silence, still pointing her gun. I don't understand. You're also a mother. You felt the pain of giving birth to your own child. How can you not know how precious a life is? How are you capable of doing all this? You can create a child without even trying. What does that have to do with anything? Children are bonds, is what I mean. What? Children are bonds that can tie you to your husband. In my case, a bond to make Rudolfson acknowledge me, so I could take him back from that woman. But you've killed Rudolfson now. So, you understand what that means, right? What do you mean, I understand? Right now, I'm no man's wife, so there's no need for me to be a mother. I am me. Kitty. Now that Rudolfson's dead, I'm not even in Shinomiya anymore. I live to benefit me. Right. Rudolph's dead, so maybe you aren't a wife anymore. But you still have Anja-chan, right? You're still a mother, aren't you? Didn't you hear what I just said about bonds? Now that Rudolph-san is gone, Anja is of no use to me. You... How can any mother say that about her own daughter? Eva-ne-san, let's put a stop to this. Stop pretending to be so noble. Pretending? Did either of us marry because we wanted children? We didn't, right? We married because we wanted to live with the man we loved. And once you've married, you never want to let that man go. For the rest of your life, correct? Children are weapons to be used for that goal. No one would have children for a reason like that. Some people would have children for a reason like that. Kirie kept on speaking emotionlessly, ignoring the falling rain. Her relaxed smile did not falter for an instant. Anja was just a chain I used to tie Rudolfson to me. Or you could call her a chess piece, someone to play the role of the kid in our family drama. To me, Anja was nothing more than a piece, necessary so that I could act the part of the good mother in front of the Rudolph-san. You could say that to Anja-chan's face? Of course, that'd be pointlessly cruel, so I won't say this to her directly. I plan to write her a letter asking her to forgive her bad mother, then vanish from her life. You've seen what Rosa-san and Maria-chan are like, right? Now that Rudolph-san's gone, Anja's just a chain tying me down. I'll go back to being just a kitty and enjoy the rest of my life at my leisure. A new challenge, a new life. And Maybe Lilula. Did you call yourself here? You call yourself Anja-chan's mother. Who gives a damn about Anja? She's a little brat. I've never once felt any affection for him. How can you... You've been released from the family drama too, haven't you? Let's sing the praises of a woman's freedom. You should thank me for having George-kun killed for you. You monster! The two yells, and the sound of gunfire thundered across the dark rose garden. Slowly, Ava fell backwards. Then, she landed in a puddle, scattering countless drops of water. Across from her, Kiria spun around as though dancing. Beautiful, black rose petals scattered around her. They were dark red rose petals. As these rose petals sprayed from her throat, she spun around in a circle and slowly crumpled. Then, she fell to the ground, sending muddy water flying. The two women had both fired their gun and fallen. However, when the thunder roared, it was only Ava who sat back up. Ava hadn't been shot. Kiria's intensity had made her fall backwards, but the bullet had once again only grazed her. Ava cursed her good luck. Why couldn't this luck have saved her husband or her son? Die there. For Anja-chan's sake. You'll be killed in the explosion accident. Until the moment of your death, you worried about the daughter you left behind. Carve that message into the lid of the cat box. When Kiria heard this, blood dripped from her grinning mouth, and she seemed to say something in response. However, her voice came out only as globs of blood from the hole in her throat, not words. Mom. It's a lie. It's all a lie. Anja, please calm down. This is just a game. This couldn't possibly be what your mother truly feels. It's just something that the Game Master made on Kiria's peace save. But saying that did nothing to calm Anja's sobs. I don't blame her. Even if she knows it's just a game, she's been forced to see not only her mother's death, but also her mother announcing that she was the culprit of a mass murder, who didn't even love her daughter. Anyone would sob after hearing that. Burncastle-san, enough of this. I don't care who the Game Master is. Stop this pointless game right now. When Leon yelled this, the theater suddenly went pitch black, swallowed in darkness. However, that wasn't enough to shock Leon. Leon continued to yell Burncastle's name into the darkness, telling the witch to stop this game. Then, a single beam of light shone down upon the stage. There was Claire, the one who had appeared for just a second right before this cruel game began. Claire, so you were the Game Master after all? I don't understand. Why? Claire didn't answer. In fact, it looked as though she hadn't even heard. Her eyes were blank and you couldn't tell what she was looking at. In fact, she was even forgetting to blink. She looked just like a doll. Then, another beam of light lit up the side of the stage. Under that light stood Castle. At the same time, though there appeared to be no one in the audience, a large applause rang out. Castle raised her right hand in response to the applause. She kept doing so until the applause died down. Castle-san, so you were the master of this game after all?
Leo, how many times do I have to tell you that I'm not the game master?
Then, are you saying it's Claire? That's impossible.
Yep. That is, of course, impossible. After all, Claire is dead. We were just conducting her funeral. Did you forget that?
Then, just who was standing there?
A corpse. It's not taxidermy. So, of course, she still has her insides. She's hiding it under a beautiful exterior, but she's actually packed full of guts.
When Castle raised her right hand, a light fell on it, and a black, shining scythe appeared there. It was a cold, merciless, and cruel object, like something a classic Grim Reaper might hold. But what are you planning to do?
When they're alive, you can enjoy watching them struggle. When they're dead, you can enjoy tearing out their guts. Tales are things you get to enjoy twice. That's what it means to be a witch of theater going.
Castle pressed the blade of her Reaper scythe against Claire's stomach, then slowly slid it across. Then, along the line she traced, Claire's dress was sliced open. It was now clear that the scythe she held was not a fake one for theatrical use, and it was clear just what she planned to do next that made her cruel smile so fitting.
Anje, can you hear me?
I hear you. You tear me to bits? You make me read? What's next? Are you showing me this worst possible tale to hurt me even more? Is this fun for you? Yeah, I'll bet it is. I had a grand old time with it too. Did you think that this would be enough to break me? You think I'll sit around crying any longer because of this disgusting game of yours?
Both you and Leo seem to have the wrong idea. I'm not the game master. This tale is not one that I created.
Then that woman in the dress is the game master? No, she isn't. That can't be. Then, who's the game master? Who created this disgusting tale?
You still don't understand.
What don't we understand?
Anju, you gambled everything on the faint chance of a miracle, throwing yourself forward. Out of respect for your courage, I invited you to the 2-day world of October 4th and 5th, 1986. What was your goal? To take your family back? That would be a very difficult thing, and without the blessing of a miracle, a thoroughly impossible one. You were prepared for that, weren't you?
Yes, I'm prepared. And I still haven't given up on Oni-chan, Mom, and Dad.
Whether you give up or not is your choice. That's your own game, after all. I won't support you, and I won't interfere either. I've already enjoyed my fill of games that use you as a piece, so I have no need for you any longer.
Well, that's a relief. Then why am I here? Didn't you invite me?
Yes, that's right. I invited you here to thank you for entertaining me for a while as my piece.
To thank me? So this is how witches show gratitude. Yeah, it's been a real blast, you sick monster. How dare you do this to my parents? Putting him in this sick game.
Anje, you made a wish, hoping that you could take your family back. However, you made one more wish. Remember?
No, I don't.
You wanted to know what happened on that day.
What happened on the Rokkanjima on October 4th and 5th, 1986? Didn't Anja leave on her journey with Amakusa because she longed to answer that question? That's right. So what's your point? You don't mean... Leon realized what Bernkastel was getting at, and because of that, Leon was too shocked to speak. The Game Master isn't Bernkastel, or Claire. Then who is it? That's the wrong question. There is no Game Master. That could mean only one thing.
Anje, you still don't understand.
What?
This is the truth. The insides of the cat box of October 4th and 5th, 1986. After this, Eva survives the explosion by escaping to Kuwadorian. And, since she never spoke of the inside of the cat box, no matter how much you wanted to know, that truth was shut within the cat box for all eternity.
What are you saying?
Only Eva returned alive. Even though the police claimed that it was an accident, the public didn't believe it. Then, she took over her husband's company, and the harder she worked to make it more and more successful, the more enemies she made. In the eyes of the public, she became viewed as the queen of a vast criminal plot. I'm sure she wanted to tell people what really happened. The truth that no one would ever believe without proof. Bit by bit, Eva's heart began to snap. You rejected Eva just like everyone else, so she rejected you in turn. You were the last two members of your family, and your relationship was completely strained. Each time she compared you with her beloved son, she grew more and more twisted and broken.
Then, a strange message bottle was picked up and became a topic of conversation. It contained a bizarre story, one which told of a mysterious serial murder related to the gold on Rokkanjima. Everyone rejected the explosion accident theory and started to think up conspiracy theories. Some of those theories named Eva as the culprit, which tormented her even more. But Eva used even that to create the cat box. And until the moment of her death, she protected it. She protected the lock that held the cat box shut. So, no human would ever reach the truth inside the cat box. Not unless the witches who crossed the Sea of Fragments opened the lock.
This is the truth.
You're lying. You're lying. Lying! If this was actually true, you'd be able to say it using the red truth. But you can't. Of course you can't. Ah! Anja, calm down. Anja writhed with such strength that the chains on her arms and legs looked like they might snap. All over her body, a red, gooey liquid started to seep out. It was as though cracks had opened up all over her and blood was leaking out of all of them.
What's that? You want me to announce it clearly with the red truth? Then I'll do that, just for you. This is all truth.
No! Anja's scream covered up Burn's red truth.
Stupid kid. If only you hadn't made me say that, I could have shut it up inside the cat box. But you did tell me to, right? I knew you would, of course. And so I so wanted to see you scream like that. What a lovely expression. One that'll keep me laughing for about 100 years. Go back to being scrap meat.
Oh, Dad. It's a lie, right? Lies. Anja. As Anja held her head and screamed, the blood dripping from her finally grew so thick that it started scattering all over the place. Then, bit by bit, her body began to melt. No, to fall apart. Then, bits of her began to pile up on the chair, until she was nothing but a pile of guts and scraps.
Is the truth really such a precious thing? How absurd. How foolish. Why can't humans control their own truth? They stupidly search for the truth like that's all that matters. When they finally find it and can't stand it, they turn themselves into scrap meat. Hey, are you watching? Claire, you wanted to hide this truth too, didn't you? For fun, you wrote several catbox tales and sealed them in message bottles like the end of one of those mystery novels you admired. Then, you threw them into the sea. To save those who would suffer if they knew the truth. You sealed everything in a catbox, and Ava provided the lock. And I've sliced that box open for you. All that effort you spent to hide it has gone to waste. I've exposed all of the truth you hid with your death.
Is that what you've been after? You did all of this just to insult Claire's death? And then you showed it to Anja to make her suffer. You really were an evil witch after all.
I've been a witch the whole time. A traveler whose only goal is to escape boredom. Care for it and love it while it's alive. And eat the guts when it's dead. That's how witches live.
What you have done is unforgivable to me. You've hurt Anja and humiliated Claire, the person I would become in another world. I cannot forgive you for this.
Leon, despite all of this, you are what Claire longs to be. Even after death, she longs for it. From the moment that Claire was thrown from the cliff, her fate was already sealed. I'm sure it gave her a little bit of salvation to know that another her lives in happiness in another world.
That's right. I'm her salvation. So I must live life to the fullest. Live life for both of us.
Leon, let me show you just a bit more of this tale of the truth.
I'm not interested.
Don't worry. It'll be very interesting. After the duel between Ava and Kyrie, the guest house is wrapped in silence. Let me invite you to the parlor at that point in time.
The parlor? The one in the mansion? Berncastle snapped her fingers, and the scene of the mansion's parlor unfolded before them. In the cruel tale they had just been shown, the parlor hadn't been particularly important. Jessica had been summoned to the parlor, but she was then immediately led to the dining hall and killed there. So there had been nothing in the parlor. And, right now, there was nothing in the parlor that appeared before Leon. Just, what is supposed to be here?
As you can see, there's nothing here. But watch. I'm about to show you something interesting.
If you call it interesting, that's a sure sign that it isn't.
Go on, take a look. It's right there, right in that corner.
Berncastle was pointing at nothing more than a corner of the room. There was nothing there. She had told Leon to look there, so Leon was expecting something terrible to be there. There really was nothing there at all.
That's right. There's nothing there. At least, not in this world. But what if we peek into the next fragment over?
What? On the white, blank wall, bit by bit, a splash of blood seeped into view. Oh no. Then, right there, a corpse appeared. But that couldn't be. This is... Leon? It was Leon, lying dead against the wall. Ushiromi and Leon's corpse lay there exposed. What is going on here? Why am I here? This is supposed to be Claire's world, not mine. Claire and I can't exist at the same time, right?
Yes, that's right. That's because I just switched worlds, switched fragments. Switched to your world, that is.
I don't understand.
It's very simple. They both end the same way.
I don't get it. Why would I be dead here?
In your world, on October 4th, 1986, Beatrice's funeral was held just before the family conference.
Yes, I know that. And for me, that happened today, a short while ago.
From that time until late that night, do you know what happened?
Nothing at all. The cousins are all going to play together and the whole family will have dinner together.
Then, that night, the family conference took place. You were going to succeed the headship when you turned 20, right? Was the entire family satisfied with that, I wonder?
I don't know if they're satisfied, but the decision has been made. The head made it himself.
Looks like even you don't believe they were satisfied. That's it right there. Kinzo adored you more than anything, and tried to make an exception and set you up as the next head. Of course, his children wouldn't have been happy with that.
The siblings objected to having Leon succeed the headship. Even Kraus joined in, saying that Leon was still too young. Then, on the night of the family conference, Kinzo tried proposing a difficult riddle. You don't mean...
That's right. The riddle of the Epitaph. As you can tell by the mechanism set into the chapel, Kinzo thought up the Epitaph trick near the beginning, when the mansion on the Rokkenjima was being built. He had the romantic idea of someday using it as a test to select the next head.
Kinzo decided to present that riddle at the family conference. Did he plan to give a position of successor to the person who solved it? Or did he promise to reconsider Leon's position as the head if it was solved? Either way, Kinzo was confident. He was confident that no one would be able to solve this tough riddle, which he had created himself.
After that, everything happened exactly like the truth you just saw. The siblings solved it right away, and there was a clash over the pile of gold. Then, Kiria and Rudolph carried out the late-night murders to prevent any chance of the crime being discovered the next morning, and an outcry being raised. They called the kids out from the cousins' room one by one, then killed them. As the first of the cousins, you were the first to be called out. Then, Kiria shot you dead right here in the parlor. No, that's not quite right. You're the Ushiromiya Leon from the early evening of October 4th, 1986. So I'll say it this way. Tonight, Kiria will shoot you dead in the parlor.
That's insane. That's right. Probability. Just like the miracle called Leon, only has a slight probability of arising from Claire. Aunt Kiria must only commit murder with a tiny probability, close to zero. Aren't you the witch who specializes in finding extremely improbable worlds?
That is correct. I had to find one fragment out of 2,578,917 in order to discover the miracle that is you. However, it was very, very easy to find this result for your world. After all, probability isn't a factor. I'm a witch who can find any miracle, no matter how unlikely it is. But I can't find things that don't exist. If the Witch of Certainty really guarantees that something isn't certain, even I can't win against her.
But then
With a 2,578,916 out of 578,917 probability.
I'm probably fucking up these numbers. I don't know. Started to doubt myself, but you get the idea.
You live in the world as Claire, are toyed with by an inescapable fate, and meet with a tragic end. And, with a 1 out of 2,578,917 probability, you live as Ushiromiya Leon, and are killed by Kiria tonight. In other words, your fate, no, the fate the two of you share, traps you in an inescapable dead end, a hell of fate, with a 2,578,917 out of 2,578,917 probability. To put it another way, it's a certain fate, with absolutely no chance for a miracle. Too bad for you, Claire. No, Beatrice.
A bright light seemed to turn the world white. Then, the next moment, they were back in the theater.
as Claire stood absolutely still on the stage. The tip of Berncastle's Reaper's side traced a line across her stomach. A red line was drawn across her white skin, exposed now that the dress had been cut, and black blood began to seep out. Beatrice, trapped in that inescapable, certain, locked-away pair of beings, you became a witch who could give birth to endless possibilities within that 2-day cat box. In exchange, it was absolutely certain that you would not be saved or rewarded. However, you had a dream. You dreamed of Ushurumi and Leon. You consoled yourself with the thought of a miracle world where you could have lived in happiness and would never have become Claire. I really had to work hard to find Leon. As Beato dreamed, Leon's existence was a true miracle. And at the end of your funeral, I wanted to show you that even with that miracle, you couldn't have escaped this tragedy. Faced with a little bit of sky that she could see through the bars of the jail that imprisoned her, the witch called Beatrice dreamed of a world where she might have been happy. However, the sky beyond the bars was also part of a larger jail. The more I hear, the less I understand about you. Why? Why would you do something like this? I lost a game to Beato, so I wanted to get back at her. Yeah, now I feel a lot better about losing that game. Hey, Beato, are you watching? Can you see this? And do you remember? Remember when I promised you that there would be absolutely no miracles? So, Leon, allow me to return you to your world right before Beato's eyes. It looks like the witches of theater going are all sick and tired of those happy family get-together scenes. So, I'll send you to the moment just before Kidia shoots you. Then, I'll make sure Beato witnesses that moment. Die, Puke Spittle Leon. The last hope of Puke Spittle Beato. Berncastle raised her Reaper's side, swung it down with gusto, and plunged it deep into Claire's stomach. Did you think you'd get an easy death? But humiliating a corpse and tearing out its guts is what I'm best at. Heartlessly, ruthlessly, brutally, she swung the enormous blade buried in Claire's stomach back up towards the heavens. Along a vertical line from Claire's stomach to her chest, the blade cut deeply, slicing Claire open. Her red-black innards jutted out, and then, like a dam breaking, they burst out of her stomach, covering the world with dark red entrails. Steal the Italian scroll, you say? You coward, Shiromiya! And you call yourself a soldier of the Empire? Father? I do love and respect you, Father. But your feelings are something Why did you save me? Why didn't you let me die? Because of that terrible injury, I've been forced to live in a body like this? I never wanted to live in a body like this. This body isn't even capable of love. What's the point in living like that?
This isn't a human's life. It's like being furniture. That's right. I'm furniture. Furniture! Why didn't you let me die back then? Ah! When I came to, I was in the parlor of the mansion. When did I get here? I heard a sound behind me, then slowly turned around. And there... Sorry. Please don't take this personally. I could see down the frigid barrel of the gun Aunt Kitty was pointing. Then, slowly, she pulled the trigger. I could feel a razor-sharp wind pass through my body, like a knife slicing through butter. Prepared for death and hoping to see my fate until the end, I slowly opened my eyes. The world had been cut in two. Kirie was frozen in place like a statue, still pointing her gun with a cold smile on her face. It had been cut in half, at an angle, the top part of her slowly sliding off to the side. No, that wasn't quite right. That wasn't right at all. It wasn't just Kirie. The whole world had been sliced in half at an angle, and was slowly sliding off to one side. Fissures seemed to appear across the world, and before I had any time to process it, the world shattered. You. When you own a cat, you tend to pick up their habits. Pointed at Burncastle with the tip of the pitch-black sword that had sliced the world, glaring at her.
What's this? Are you saying you came back here on a whim?
There was no way you'd end things on a happy note. Do you really hate Beatrice so much?
You think I'd let her win and get away? I have to pay her back in full for the humiliation she caused me. When I hold a grudge, I don't forget about it for 100 years.
You're a gloomy person.
Please, you mustn't ignore my heart.
Are you okay, Leon? Hey, what's wrong? Leon had suddenly doubled over, groaning.
My chest hurts. It's...
Will roughly grabbed the hand that was pressed against Leon's chest and tore it away. Blood was seeping out of the place that Leon's hand had been. It was the place that the bullet would have entered if Kirie had shot Leon.
Leon's body is already in the process of accepting its fate.
Leon, hang in there. Damn these chains. When Will tried to pick Leon up, he finally noticed the chains attached to each wrist and ankle.
What's this? Are you trying to take that kid and escape? I won't let you. Leon needs to cough up blood, despairing at the fact that there is no hope in any of the many worlds. We're all here to watch Leon die in agony and despair.
Leon isn't a show. Will swung his pitch-black sword and destroyed the chains binding Leon. Chains and shackles shattered into little bits like glass, then vanished.
You intend to get in the way of my fun?
You aren't God. All you do is sneer at fate. Leon's fate is decided by Leon. You can't use a human's fate like a toy.
You've got guts, saying that to the great Burn Castle, Witch of the Senate. I have no more use for you either, get it? You've shown that Beato's fantasy is a mystery and cut it to pieces. You fulfilled your role. I would have let you be, if only you just left quietly. Now that you've strolled on back here, you can hardly complain when I make you my plaything, can you? Come to me, my sweet little kitties. Scratch them up and tear off their skin. Peel them like grapes.
They're moving. Creepy. And Burncastle clapped her hands twice. Countless pairs of glaring jewels appeared all around Will and Leon. They were clearly cat eyes, but their breathing sounded far more terrifying than any cat.
Will,
I'll handle this. Trimming kitty nails is nothing new to me. Damn. The number of jewels surrounding them had already reached into the thousands. Will pointed his sword in one direction after another, warding off the surrounding cats. Get a grip, Leon. You haven't been shot. Don't accept that you've been... No. Don't accept that you're going to be shot. Leon tried to fight an incredible tearing pain. No. It was a fight against the promised future that Burncastle had shown. However, the gouging stake representing that future, which the Witch of Miracles had guaranteed would hold absolutely no miracle, was firm and merciless. Bit by bit, and yet unceasingly, it continued to pierce Leon's chest. Listen up. I'm gonna break through the perimeter for just a second. When I do, you need to run with all you've got. Don't change direction, just keep running. It doesn't matter where to. Just make sure you get far away from this place, and keep on running no matter what happens.
I'll try to the best of my ability. If I can't do it, please forgive me.
If you can't, never say die. I won't let you. Claire won't let you. Did you forget that you're Claire's 1 in 2,578,917 chance? If you give up, you're betraying all the other yous in countless worlds. So don't lose heart. Keep on struggling and struggling. Don't look for a miracle. Be one.
Be a miracle.
You're gonna reach a happy future. You can't give up, and you can't complain. Just you try complaining one more time. I'll be the one pinching your ass.
Okay.
I hope that was the last 2,578,907. Yep, that big number. It is too warm for that.
How very confident you are. Telling this kid to be a miracle when you stand before the Witch of Miracles. Miracles are no more than fantasy. Grovel in this world that it's been convicted as a mystery. And die horribly like a worm. The witches of theater going are looking forward to watching it.
You call that mystery? You'd think I'd ever accept a mystery without heart. Let the cat who wants to be made into a shamisen strike first. What a pain. Let's have all of you at once. I'm Willard H. Wright, SSVD's Chief Inquisitor. This'll be the final time I draw my sword.
Trash him, kiddies.
Oh shit. At once, all of the cat eyes opened wide, undulated and spun in a spiral, then swallowed Will up. But Will and Leon were not swallowed up. As though a balloon had expanded around the two of them and burst, the cats that had flown in at them from all directions were now being launched away.
Oh, not bad.
I don't give a damn about your kitties. It's just the mama cat I care about. Burncastle, Witch of Miracles. It's about time someone trimmed your claws. Another flash of the black blade spun in a black tornado and scattered the cats once more. Leon, realizing that this was the opening Will had planned to make, ran all out, hand on chest.
Well, I'm running.
Diana has a weak stomach. Make sure you only give her warm milk.
Huh?
Before Leon could ask Will to repeat what he had said, Will had already leapt onto the stage and was now confronting Burncastle. It was like the climax of a show. Loud cheers erupted from the pitch-black audience seating. On either side of Claire, who lay with her insides exposed, stood Will, with his pitch-black sword, and Burncastle, with a side that could harvest miracles from fate. Kitty and Rudolph are the culprits, and they massacred the people on the island. They called Leon out to the parlor, and then shot Leon to death. Sorry, but the concept of mysteries rejects this truth of yours. This is all fantasy.
Fantasy? You're calling it that to try and let Leon escape fate? By all means, try.
Rule 1. It is forbidden to have a crime without all clues presented. Will's black sword had cut through Burncastle's body at a diagonal angle. However, it had no effect, like cutting the reflection of the moon in the water.
What's this? What do you mean by clues?
I won't accept your mystery with Kitty and Rudolph as the culprits. You won't find clues showing that they're the culprits no matter which game you look at.
Of course you won't. Even if they did exist at one point, the whole island blew up.
Which means that there aren't any clues. And that means this is no mystery. It's fantasy.
Huh.
It is impossible for an unprovable truth to become truth in the human world. In other words, even the truth cannot leave the cat box.
Are you trying to shut the truth inside the cat box? Is this how the mystery genre is supposed to fight?
With a laugh like the howl of a wild animal, Burncastle carelessly tossed her side aside.
You're not even worth fighting. Get over here, puke spittle. Try and cut me all you like. I'll listen to all you've got to say.
The 20 wedges will pierce every part of your heart in this mystery. Here it comes.
And when you realize that you can't defeat me with those 20 wedges, you know what'll happen next, right? Come on. I'll play with you and these 20 wedges of yours.
Ooh, CG. Oh. Oh damn, okay. Very short signature. We're almost there, we're almost there. We're almost there, we're almost there. Because I happen to know that the Witch's Tea Party, or the Secret Tea Party, I forget what the translation is, I don't know why. I happen to know that that's a very short tea party. We're gonna finish this today. Oh. Okay, we're not quite there yet. Trying to ignore an incredibly painful chest, Leon kept on running and running without stopping. I dashed out of the theater of the witches of theater going, then ran through an incomprehensible world of blackness. Before I knew it, I was running through a place that looked like a sea of stars, or maybe the bottom of the ocean with stars scattered around. If I get careless for a second, I'll probably trip. No, if I get careless, I won't be able to tell whether I'm running or just making running motions as I freefall, endlessly sinking deeper into the ocean of stars. I just kept on running, without any goal or target. I mustn't stop moving. I mustn't fall here. If I fall, I'll crush the hope of the me's in countless words. The happy world that the Beatrices dream of. I'm their last hope, the only one who can reach that world. Even though I understand this, the witch who controls miracles has declared that there will be no miracle. The truth that she thrust in front of me with those words gouges cruelly into my chest. Sorry, well, my body can't. Leon finally succumbed to the fierce pain and fate and fell over. Leon's body was held roughly from behind and lifted up. Will, you're okay. No, not really. Don't give up. Didn't I tell you I'd pinch your ass? I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. But that day, that place is where I was fated to be killed. That's right. All humans are fated to die in the end. Does that mean their lives are meaningless? Of course not. What a person's life means, what it's worth, what it is, these are things a person decides for themselves. So what if a fate's been forced upon you? Don't accept it. Create your own world, for yourself. Will, your left arm. Right. Must have forgotten it. It'd be a pain to go back and get it now. There were rips all over Will's body. Also, his left arm had been brutally torn off from the elbow. His clothes were in tatters, and he looked like a blood-stained scarecrow. Then, Leon noticed. Though this place at once felt like a sea filled with stars, both above and below them, those stars had now gathered together and were surrounding them. That huge number of stars, groups in even-numbered clusters, all glared at the two of them. Will was holding Leon with one arm. He couldn't take his sword out. However, he didn't let go. He was determined to let Leon escape from here, and to lead Leon toward the happy tale that Beatrice had dreamed of. Through the cats whose eyes glowed in the empty darkness, the queen of cats who permitted no miracles appeared.
Willard, put Leon down. If you do, I'll let you go.
Go file a protest with the Great Court. You could put it up for debate.
Will, please.
I won't leave you behind. Let me tell you why I quit SSVD.
Come to think of it, even I don't know that. Why'd you do it?
It's because I got fed up with all those damn sob story mysteries. We're gonna survive and make a happy ending. I'm gonna show her. Beatrice died in despair, thinking that there were only bad endings. And I'm gonna show her that a happy ending can exist. So I'll never put you down.
Will.
You can take the rest of my left arm, cats. I'll give you my legs too if you want them. But I'm not letting go of Leon here. I'm gonna let Leon escape your bad ending if I have to crawl out of here.
Are you okay with this, Leon? Will's planning to die protecting you. You don't want that, right? Go ahead and tell him to leave you be and save himself.
Will. Yeah. Please, don't leave me here. I'll survive, for certain. And so will you. That's the spirit. As he said this, Will held Leon tight. There you have it. We'll keep struggling on, Bernkastle. We won't give up on the chance of a miracle.
I'm amazed you can say that when the Witch of Miracles has promised you that there will be absolutely no miracles. So long, you two. Go collect dust in the depths of oblivion, unable even to die, and disappear. Come, my kitties. I won't tell you to kill them. There are no more scenes for these two pieces. Put them away.
A billion, a trillion, a quadrillion cats all bared their fangs. In the starry sky of cat eyes, countless flesh-colored mouths opened, exposing countless teeth. The world was wrapped in flesh and blood and fangs. Holy shit. I kind of forgot that that's how this part ends. Holy shit. Not only that, but so many new CGs and new effects and stuff. Wow. Wow. Very mysterious ending, you're right. Alright. Here we go. Last bit. Let me get some water. Two white pieces were set on the chessboard. The countless black pieces surrounding them were packed tightly together, not even placed on the squares anymore. Then, Burncastle tipped the 2 white pieces over and took them off the board.
May I end it there?
Yes. Your reading truly does fit my ears well, Umineko.
As you wished. I've scraped out even the inner parts of the guts. Was this enough to check your answers with?
Yes, I am very satisfied. Using the answer you've revealed as a key, I will go back through all the tales so far, opening the locked rooms like treasure boxes, one by one. It's fun finding the key, and it's even more fun to stick it into all the locks. You have done well, my Miko. From this point on, I would like to enjoy my thoughts alone. This has been enough. The Witch of Theater-going sat back in her rocking chair, a satisfied smile on her face, as though enjoying a pleasant aftertaste. There was no need for a game board anymore. She just had to go back in her mind through the whole set of tales to check whether her theory was right or not. It seemed to leave her pleasantly drunk, even better than the most expensive wine.
Are you done with me now?
You have done well, my Miko. I absolve you of your duty. I will return to my slumber. I'd like to enjoy this pleasant dream for a few more centuries. And when I grow tired of that, you will find yet another tale to keep me entertained. For those centuries, which will pass in the blink of an eye, I grant you your freedom. Splendidly done, Burncastle, my darling Miko.
That's not my concern. Just shrivel up and die, won't you? So long, for the rest of time.
You call a few mere centuries for the rest of time. Featherine's consciousness slowly faded away. As the owner of the study's slumber grew deeper, the lights about the room slowly darkened.
Good night forever, Aurora. You don't need this game board anymore. I'll take it.
Burncastle reached out towards Beato's game board, which lay on the table in front of Featherine's rocking chair, and tapped it twice. The game board and the pieces flew into the air, folded up and put themselves away, then landed on Burncastle's outstretched right hand.
I still haven't had a chance to do any real game mastering. I just did Beato's funeral. That and tearing out the guts. I still haven't done anything.
Burncastle's smile twisted evilly. Then, the game board floated up once again, and a world unfolded itself above Burncastle's palm.
Now, pieces of Beato's game. I'm going to have you spin a truly brutal tale to truly entertain me. Tremble with fear of the absolute fate you have been promised. By the name of Burncastle, Witch of Miracles, and as the final game master of Beato's game, I proclaim it. Though just saying it would be boring. Maybe I should follow Beato's rules and say it in red.
Good idea, I think. It looks like there might still be some witches with naive dreams.
Ah, Lambda. So you're here. course you are. You're always wherever I am.
Go on and say it. You tell those naive dreamers.
Yes, I will. As the Witch of Miracles, and as the final Game Master, I proclaim the start of the final game. And I make you this promise. I will not give this game a happy ending.
Sob. Sob, sob. A single girl was crying in a desolate, quiet chapel. She was a small girl, only 6 years old. The girl who would, for 12 years starting now, lament the fact that she wasn't on the island on October 4th and 5th, 1986. Then, a man appeared. The man noticed the girl, walked up to her quietly, trying not to scare her. He put an arm gently around her shoulder.
Oni-chan.
I've been looking for you, Anje. The girl jumped into her big brother's chest and started crying again. What's wrong? Why are you so sad?
Today, a kid in class bullied me. He said the people on TV were saying Mom had ties to bad people. He said that Mom and Dad were the culprits and that they probably killed everyone. I asked Aunt Ava, hoping she'd say it wasn't true, but she didn't say anything. Mom and Dad aren't bad people, are they? Are they?
Poor thing. Everyone says whatever they please about what might have happened on that island on that day. Sit over here.
Okay.
And the man pointed to the floor. A group of gold butterflies gathered there and created a chair. The girl obediently sat down on it.
You know, don't you, Oni-chan? You know that Mom and Dad aren't bad people, right?
Yeah, of course I know that. I know that none of them were bad people.
Then tell me, what happened that day? What happened on Little Gunjima?
Okay, I'll tell you. This is what happened on that day.
Is it a scary story?
Come now.
Is it a sad story?
Of course not.
Then what kind of story is it?
You can decide that for yourself when you hear it. It isn't a painful story at all. So, listen up.
Okay. Valor Oni-chan.
On that day, we all went to Rokunjima. There were a lot of us. It was an important day, the day of the family conference. Where should I start? This is the final game, made just for Anje. Listen, Anje. This is what happened on the Rokunjima on that day. It isn't sad or painful at all. Well, with that, we wrap up episode 7, arc 7. Which means next week, arc 8, the final one. Whether what Burncastle said was the truth is actually the truth, up to you. For now, at least. Hey, maybe we'll see more of whether that's actually the truth or not later on in the story. But yeah, we're starting off with some very contradictory things. The ending will be sad, or the ending will not be painful or sad. So I guess it's gonna be Balor versus Burncastle next time. And yeah, we have a new portrait at the beginning of the next one. Or is this? No, this is from 7, yeah. I don't think this actually shows up in the game at any point, unlike most of the other... Well, no, the one for 4 doesn't either. Anyway. You might have a point there, Kat. Yeah. I definitely think that there's some parallels there, especially that there was a bit of a parallel to the, you know, the scene where Balor jumps out the window. Interesting. Well, yeah. I'm gonna go now because I'm baking in my room, which, at least it didn't get warmer, it stayed the same temperature, but the temperature is too much. Too many temperature. But yeah. Thank you, as always, for being here on this journey with me. We're doing it. We're gonna wrap it up. I'm amazed that we made it this far. I'm a little overwhelmed with that, actually. I don't know. Like, it's real now, you know? We're really doing it. It's gonna be awesome, I hope. It's gonna be emotional, bring tissues. And, I can remove some content warnings. Because, next episode isn't gonna deal with some of this stuff. And in the end, some of it turned out to be way milder than I remember it being, so hey, that's good. And, you're in luck, Kat. There's, you know, that 9th arc floating around out there, still untranslated. But one day, One day, we'll get there. Alright. I'm gonna turn this off. And then turn on some music. To sort of guide us into the end of the street. Maybe I doubt it'll be translated by then. Because we're gonna be finishing 8 in about... I'm assessing 12 episodes. So that's about 3 months. A little less. Maybe. I don't think they're gonna finish it that fast. I'm not sure they've even started on it yet. But we'll see. We can always just take like a you know, a little break, a little breather, and then come back to Umineko when that's out. It's enough to get a rough draft. I don't know, these things are long. But yeah, no matter how long it takes, I will come back to the 9th arc once that's out. So I have no worries about that. Alright. As always, thank you for watching. And hope you're enjoying it. I know I am. I'll be back on Monday with a regular stream, and next week, Wednesday, at 10. Mark it in your calendars. We're starting Arc 5. I'm hyped. I'm gonna be crying a lot. I'm not even kidding. Bring tissues. You're gonna need them. But probably not in the first episode. Maybe. Probably not. I have a lot of stuff to prepare for the final arc, but yeah, hyped. Alright. Have a great day, have a great week. Stay cool. I've got some stuff lying in the freezer right now to keep myself cool, so that's gonna be just fine. Stay hydrated. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.